Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway with our news and notes for this week, and we have a good bit of things going on. Again, nothing in the pro ranks so much. Pro ranks have been kind of stagnant over the last few weeks, but hoping to get things going within the next few weeks, hopefully, if all goes well. But nothing on the horizon right now, as far as that's concerned. So we're going to talk about one result that took place this past week in Philadelphia for a Beltway boxer. Going to look at the first day of the National Silver Gloves, which are going on this weekend in Independence, Missouri. And we do have a couple events coming up this week, amateur-wise. Actually, coming up as we record this tomorrow, Saturday, February the 3rd, as we record this. So we'll let you know about that as well. And we have a couple other notes I want to talk about concerning this blog, my blog, and my podcast. So we'll talk more about that. Beltway Boxing News and Notes brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain and everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. And if you go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. This past Friday night at the Sugar House Casino in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Joshua Dynamite Davis, DC lightweight, he was stopped in the second round by undefeated Steven Ortiz of Philadelphia. My buddy John DeSanto, FightNews.com, covered that bout. He said Davis was knocked down 3 times in the second round. First by a left hook, and then 2 Ortiz right hands followed that. And after the third knockdown, referee Gary Rosado stopped the contest. Bout was stopped at 2:21 of the second round. Davis has now lost 2 straight. Of course, he lost that one also early on national television. That was to Ray Lampkin. And he's now 11-3, 5 KOs. Ortiz is now undefeated at 3-0, 8-0, 3 KOs. So tough break for Joshua Dynamite Davis, and see if he can come back and do some work there. So that's the only real pro result coming this past week. We have some coming up last couple of weeks, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Meanwhile, though, the big event in our area, not in our area, but around the country involving our Beltway amateurs, is the National Silver Gloves Tournament, which is taking place as we speak at the Truman Grand Ballroom located in Independence, Missouri. A number of Beltway amateurs are competing. Now, I'll tell you up front, it's be difficult for me to get results for these events. All I'm getting are the winners. That's the way Ringside is doing it. And I tell you, Ringside, in all honesty, has a real tough time getting results out for people around the country. So people want to catch up with how their boxers are doing around the nation. Ringside is not the best look to do it, in all honesty. So I can give you the list of the winners for the first round, give you the names of the people who won. So those are people like Kalik Harrison out of Fort Washington, Maryland. I can't even give you weight classes and all that, which is really, it's frustrating. It really is very frustrating. But here we go. Kalik Harrison out of Fort Washington, Maryland. He won his bout. Kadarius Johnson out of District Heights, Maryland. Tommy Cole Jr. out of Baltimore, Maryland. Mohammed Robinson out of Nottingham, Maryland, Tariq Williams out of Oxon Hill, Maryland, won his bout, as did Cardan Chapman out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Jordan Roach, the younger brother of Lamont Roach Jr. out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Jeremiah Williams of Baltimore. Samari Everett of Baltimore. Brandon Chestnut of Bowie, Maryland. Kyrie Kelly of Washington, D.C., and Marcus Luther of D.C. They all won their first bouts at the National Silver Gloves. And the Silver Gloves will continue until Saturday. Saturday's the last day for the event. We hope to bring you the championships at that. As far as the results there, we don't know. We'll see. Best way we'll do that. Now, a number of those boxers you just saw will probably be involved in the 2018 Golden Gloves, Washington Golden Gloves. Now, the Washington Golden Gloves will get underway in earnest on Saturday, February 17th. All the events will take place at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. Now, tomorrow, Saturday, February the 3rd, will be the final registration for the Golden Gloves, and that'll begin at 9 a.m. at the Hillcrest Bingo Hall, and that's located at 4104 23rd Parkway in Hillcrest Heights, Maryland. The registration will include a physical exam. Registration will be from 9 until noon. Please arrive on time and arrive promptly to that event. And once again, the Washington Golden Gloves will begin on Saturday, February 17th at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington. We'll give you all the schedule for that and hopefully give you the first bout sheet within the next couple of weeks as well. Now, tomorrow is also a big day because the Tony Valley Association of USA Boxing has a boxing card, a very special boxing card that'll bring awareness to the horrors of domestic violence. Now, the card will take place at Tony's Boxing Gym that's located at 1216 Mount Olivet Road in Northeast D.C. Now, the card itself, and I didn't know this when I wrote this originally for the blog, but the card is very personal to the head of Tony Valley Association. That's Marshall Cunningham. Apparently, Marshall Cunningham's daughter is a victim and was killed as a result of domestic violence. And he has been trying to raise money because apparently they need a headstone for her gravesite. And as a former cemeterian, I know how expensive those can be. They can be very expensive, especially if you want one that really wants to honor the person who is no longer with us. And they're raising money for that as part of this card. So that's what's happening there. So again, that is at Tony's Boxing Gym. That's located at 1216 Mount Olivet Road, Northeast Washington, D.C. All tickets are $15. The weigh-in for the event begins at 3 o'clock, and the event will get underway at 6:30 p.m. Once again, at Tony's Boxing Gym, 1216 Mount Olivet Road, Northeast in D.C. Hope you can go out there for that one as well. Now, a couple things on the horizon. Don't forget February 8th, Thursday, February 8th, Roy Jones Jr. will take on Scott Cujo Sigmund. And interesting note about that particular bout, that bout will be the first boxing card to be held and shown on the UFC Fight Pass app, apparently. UFC Fight Pass will show this card and this bout between Roy Jones and Scott Sigmund from the Pensacola Civic Center in Pensacola, Florida. So that's interesting in and of itself. And again, it's supposed to be Roy Jones's last bout as a pro boxer. I'm not sure, in all honesty, if it's going to be the last bout that he'll have in his hometown in Pensacola, Florida, or his last bout, period. They've said both, so I don't know how that's going to happen. So hopefully, I hope it's the last bout, period, for him because again, Roy Jones had an incredible career. First bout Hall of Fame, one of those Hall of Famers like Bernard Hopkins, where my rule, and if it was up to me, it would be my rule. Boxers like those, like Roy Jones Jr., Bernard Hopkins, I think Evander Holyfield fell in that category as well. Lennox Lewis fell in that category before they got into the Hall of Fame. They should not have to wait 5 years. I'm sorry. Their contributions to this sport, their success in the sport, should not have them wait 5 years. They have been so magnificent to the sport of boxing. They've won so many championships. They've been in the best of fights. They have been competed so well that 5 years they shouldn't wait. They should just put them in there immediately. You should have to wait for it because they're going to go in there anyway. And God forbid something happens to them along the way and they're not around to enjoy their successes and enjoy the induction of being in the Hall of Fame. Fortunately, that has not been the case. Hope it never becomes the case. But boxers like those, I feel, should be in there right away. I mean, there should be a special exemption, and they should get in there right away. That's my personal belief, but who knows? Anyway, that's Thursday, February 8th. Once again, Roy Jones Jr. versus Scott Cujo Sigmund. Now, Saturday, February 10th at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We know that's DeMarcus Corley taking on Hammer and Hank Lundy. Now, we also found out that Hasim Rahman Jr. now has an opponent for his 4-round bout on that card. Rahman 3-0, 3 KOs. Now, he'll take on a guy by the name of Saba Pavai. That's the best I can do with that name. I hope that's close to being right. But Saba Pavai is out of Erd, Hungary. He's 1-2, 1 KO. His last bout was a first-round KO over Richard Ballo. But he has lost his first 2 bouts by first-round KO. So we'll see what happens there. And of course, Hasim Rahman Jr.'s, all 3 of his bouts have been by first-round KO victories. So we'll see what happens. So that's February the 10th. Once again, that's at the 2300 Arena, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on the undercard of what it should be an outstanding bout between DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley and Hammer and Hank Lundy in Philadelphia. And now we just found out about this one. Actually, this has been out for a while, but we're going to announce it here on the podcast for the first time. And that's what I think is a must-win bout for Mike Yes Indeed Reed out of Waldorf, Maryland, the super lightweight. He looks to rebound on his first pro loss, and he'll take on undefeated Arnold Barboza Jr. of Los Angeles, California, in a 10-round contest. That'll be on Saturday, March the 10th at the StubHub Center in Carson, California, and this bout is scheduled to be televised by ESPN. Now, give Reed a lot of credit for getting back in there pretty quickly. He got stopped in the second round by Jose Carlos Ramirez, another undefeated fighter, on November 11th in Fresno, California. And Reed lost an opportunity on that bout to win the WBC Continental America Super Lightweight title. Barboza 17-0, 6 KOs. He's coming off an 8-round unanimous decision over Jonathan Chicas back on August 5th in Los Angeles. Now, this is Barboza's first scheduled round 10-round bout, and unlike Ramirez, who had a number of knockouts, Barboza Jr. is not the biggest knockout puncher. So this could be a different set of circumstances for Mike Reed in this case. So we'll see what happens, but he needs this win. I think he needs to win, especially after having the tough loss against Jose Carlos Ramirez. He had a tough loss in that one. He needs a victory in this one to get back on track. He lost his ranking. He was in the top 15 rankings in the WBO. I just checked those rankings before we went on the air today, and he is no longer in those rankings. So this is a win he needs pretty badly. So let's hope he gets that on Saturday, March the 10th at the StubHub Center in Carson, California against Carlos Ramirez. Against Arnold Barboza Jr. of Los Angeles. And again, it's scheduled to be televised on ESPN. So that is the schedule up to this point. There's some bouts coming up next week. Of course, we'll talk about not only we'll talk more in detail, Jones and Sigmund. We'll talk more in detail about Lundy and Corey. We kind of covered those pretty well. Of course, the card on February 13th, featuring Michael Fox on that card and a couple other Beltway boxers on that show as well at the Sugar House Casino in Philadelphia. We'll talk more about that next week. Now, a couple things before we get out of here. Number one, early this week on Facebook, a local boxer, I'm not going to mention his name, but he mentioned something that, quite frankly, I haven't thought about in a little bit of time, and it concerns my blog more so than the podcast. It concerns my blog. And so I want to kind of bring it up again just to highlight it. And I thank him for bringing it up, and I thank him for his thoughts toward it as well. I'm not going to mention the name, but I want to thank him for that. My blog has been around. We're going on, started in 2005. So we're going on 13 years of Boxing on the Beltway, the blog. And that's on boxingonthebeltway.blogspot.com. Now, for the first, I'd say 7-8 years of the blog, I had the comments section open to anybody. And when I mean open to anybody, I mean also to posters who wanted to write comments anonymously. And for a while, I struggled with it because some of these anonymous comments were just ridiculous. I mean, they were full of venom and they were cursing on it, and they were making just derogatory comments toward the boxers, derogatory comments toward other posters, derogatory comments toward myself. And it got to a point where after a while, I just couldn't take it anymore. I mean, not so much the ones toward me, although some of those were very vicious, but those toward other people and other boxers and these people not having the guts to put their name behind their comments, but they would make such derogatory statements. So around 2000 and I'd say 12 or so, I decided that I was going to make people at least put a name to their comments. They could not post anonymously anymore. When that happened, the whole comments dropped. I get no comments hardly on any posts nowadays on the blog because these people are so gutless that they could not they didn't want to put their name behind what they said. And so I'm gonna stand by it. I'm gonna continue to do it that way because, those who want to comment, they will comment. I get some every now and again, and they'll ask questions or they'll make good comments about what is going on, but they'll have the guts to put their name behind it. They disagree with what I say, that's fine. They disagree with some of the boxes, that's fine too. But we can, as the old saying goes, we can disagree without being disagreeable. And a lot of the comments on the blog were just plain disagreeable. And it was very, very frustrating at times. And it hurt a lot because it was hard to do it. And every now and then, I wanted the traffic to go through it. I wanted to see what was there. But what I'm noticing now is that the traffic's still there. I get a lot of readers, on my posts. Every now and again, it gets up to like 1,000 people per blog post, which is great, so that's the best part about it, is that the traffic is still there, but a lot of these people don't have the guts to make comments that they feel strongly about without putting their name on it. So that's their loss. That's not my loss. I really don't care anymore. And I'm glad that to tell you the truth, I'd rather have the quiet traffic than have the noisy, derogatory traffic. That's just the way I feel right there. So I just wanted to mention that because, again, it was interesting that it came up all of a sudden. This particular poster put it up there, and I'm glad he did because, again, he appreciates what I do, and I appreciate that as well. So that's that subject there. Now, the other subject I want to bring up is a request along with some information I'm going to pass along. And I can't go into complete detail about the information, but I'm requesting something, and something else is going to happen in the not too distant future. Number one, as any podcast does and any blog does, I'm looking for sponsorship. And I really haven't talked about it much because, again, I don't want to be imposing on it, but it comes a time where I'm looking for sponsorship both on the blog and on the podcast. I don't know how much I'll charge. I won't be an extravagant amount. Maybe we can just work out the details, individually. But I'm looking for more sponsorship on the podcast and on the blog. So if you're interested in sponsoring Boxing Along the Beltway, please contact me either by Twitter at Digital25 or on Box on the Beltway. I'm sorry, on my email address, which is beltwayboxing@hotmail.com. Please contact me regarding possible sponsorship for the blog and for the podcast. That's not only for the News and Notes podcast, but also for the live podcast. We may charge a bit more on the live shows than we do for the News and Notes podcast. But if you're interested in doing that, please let me know. And so I thank you for that. And also, there's something coming down the horizon that I can't really talk about now, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to talk about more. That, if all goes well, will be a big part of what we do for Boxing Along the Beltway. And it'll be a little bit of a not necessarily deviation, but an addition to what we do on this podcast and on this blog. I can't really get into it now. Some of you already know about it if you've heard about some of the things that's going on in the next few weeks, over the last few weeks as far as this is concerned. But I can't go into it right now. But hopefully within the next week or so, I'll be able to get into this more. And we're looking for sponsors for this as well, as far as the podcast is concerned. So if you're interested, once again, beltwayboxing@hotmail.com, my email address, and my Twitter account is Digital25. And of course, you can contact me on Facebook as well. But hopefully within the next week or so, I will be able to talk more about what is going to be taking place in the next few weeks here in the Beltway that I think you're really going to enjoy. I think this is going to be interesting to see. It's a brand new, all I can tell you is a brand new concept that's taking place. And we'll be right on the ground floor of that. And Beltway, Boxing on the Beltway will be a part of that as well as the News and Notes podcast as well. So hopefully talk to you next week concerning that as well. And hope to have some new notes in the future. Beltway Boxing News and Notes brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Once again, you go to freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. I'm Gary Digital William. Thanks for joining me, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.